welcome students of our class. Hope you are enjoying this lecture and hope you are doing well. Let's start vectors, a beautiful topic in physics, and start with very basic, but start with physics. Till now I should define them physics, but as is define physics and I start vectors. Now what is physics? Physics is simply the study of nature and its laws. Means that what is physics? It is study of nature and laws. Chemical laws, and laws and its laws. But statement of physics is that is study of nature and its laws. Using this statement of physics, it is descriptive and it requires the cheese. So using study of nature and its laws, you can sum up with a little bit what is this. For example, we are living in a natural world and one is green, the other is black. So another quantitatively, what is the difference? So here is simply is green and is black. It is simple, very much simple. Is green, is black. Now agar the second difference one, so sir, here is tone, is more. This is thin, it is thick, and here is long, it is short. So you can compare the things in this natural world. So you can make out some laws out of this natural world. So agar simply one this statement that could differentiate him the cheese, and you statement to conclude some physics as well. You study of nature and its laws. And you statement, you should descriptive. You should descriptive. What is descriptive? Descriptive means go statement. Yes, must involvement. Chemistry comparison. They are measure. So this is this statement of physics is descriptive. And descriptive statement is much requirement of some comparison and measurement. Now another one, what is comparison? Sir, here is green, is black. This is comparison. What is measurement? Sir, is long or is thin, and here is thick and short. So this is statement. You now compare them because one is black and green. Second thing is measurement is thick, thin. So use statement of physics should descriptive in nature. Means that so she involve comparison of some quantities and measurement of some quantities. Magar is comparison the measurement you common sense if this compare the measure chikaran ke cheese so is always timan cheese yum as measure hako means that yes compare and measurement as karan he goes always common physical quantities. Physical quantities. So physical quantities come quantities. Tim quantities is major hako. For example, one simply you thick in thin, the giver is thick. Thin in thick, the giver is thin. So to major hakan you say cheese, major hako simply physical quantity. So physical quantities is comparison be measurement. And you see measurement and comparison because of the descriptive nature of physics. So in short, another one physics it is study of nature and its laws, and this statement is descriptive in nature, means that it involves comparison and measurement of what? Of physical quantities. What is physical quantities? You get dim quantities, you is measure hypocrite. For example, I have one simple dimensional analysis. To measure, to simply measure mass, length, and time. There are fundamental basic quantities: mass, length, and time. So fundamental quantities that can describe as the physical quantities: mass, length, and time. So if you mass compare and measure if you length compare and measure if you time measure and compare. Simple. You see descriptive. It is descriptive of comparison and measurement of physical quantities. Now, there are certain quantities in physics. There are certain physical quantities in physics you clearly represent by a numerical value alone. simple याद होने क्या certain physical quantities यम इस major हको करित by considering only numerical value कुछ value only numerical value so अगर numerical value alone was but don't forget the unit is specified so अगर numerical value alone is मगर unit is गसन specify आसिन unit is गसन specify आसिन why specify this unit आसिन because comparison the measurements always गसन same unit for example तक मैं पेश पढ़े ये जो आप marker ठीक तो ऐसे हम ये कहते time से compare कैसे time से compare no because it involves the measurement of different kind and time involves the measurement of different kind time is much second that is some different physical quantity and is a different physical quantity तवाजी unit you go specify also means that ये numerical value as two physical quantities हों सुशा time सुशा meter सुशा length की सुशा बदल की चीज that is why ये देश की physical quantities का चक्करन unit को ज़रूरी specify also करे तेरे हको तिमन मज़े comparison करे and measurement करे now क्या physical quantities ये खाली determine or fully establish हको करे by numerical value alone yeah you must completely describe hako kir by numerical value alone yeah graph now churan magnitude alone such quantities are known as scalar quantities so unique quantities kya churan scalar quantities scalar quantities so scalar quantities का होंगे जिनके तीन quantities जो description completely hako is described with or hako simply completely बयान with by taking the numerical value alone or magnitude alone. ठीक? So this is scalar. Now what is vector? There are certain other physical quantities which requires much more than the numerical value. So अगर का physical quantity खाली कैसे expressed by means of numerical value alone or magnitude alone तिमन क्या मान scalar quantities scalar for example अगर तक mass what is mass is scalar why mass खाली कैसे unit kg से represent and it does not require any much more अगर तक खाली kg ऐसी पता you can say it's mass अगर तक simply length what is length? This is the unit and its specific unit is meter. So I can simply what is meter, so I simply say length. It can be in meter, foot, inch, centimeter, anything else. But the statement is that it is length. So you should clearly again statement is completely described. Now time, what is time? Time is also a scalar. Why? Because it requires only one numerical value. Or temperature or some other things. So scalar quantities are those quantities which can only be represented by numerical value alone. Now there are some other physical quantities which requires much more than numerical value. First of all, these quantities require first numerical value. Second, these require direction as well. So them physical quantities even those खाली numerical value कैसे arise them have always represented by scalar quantities but certain other physical quantities even those numerical value आसे as well as direction ते आसे तिमन छुनान vector quantities कैसे बोलान vector quantities तिमन छुनान vector quantities मगर वही गोने description complete की तिमन छुनान vector quantities why what's about अगर तो simply we should scalar quantities उनको ये scalar quantities involve the mass length and time a particular statement सिमन scalar बनाओ that is not only the magnitude that is something else what that is we say अगर इन scalar quantities as present है ये सारे scalar quantities अगर follow करन algebraic law so अगर का physical quantity obey algebraic law apart from this numerical value then those quantities are actually known as scalar quantities not only this numerical value so quantity yes follow numerical value alone they can follow algebraic law means that अगर तो simply बने mass 5 kg plus 5 kg कुछ तो simply this is 10 kg and why 10 kg because it follows a law known as algebraic law means 5 plus 5 equal to 10. And what is kg? That is some specified unit which we talked earlier. Now, what is a certain quantity which can be represented by numerical value and direction known as vector quantity? But statement is not complete. Why? Because this description is incomplete. अगर मैं इस include करो, इधर कुछ लाओ सेल जब लिखा, but ये statement incomplete. ये तो स्टाइल इस mention करो, जिनका सब follow करें vector laws. So, such quantity, some physical quantity, yes, obey kare, numerical value, direction, as well as vector laws. Timane quantities and chona vector quantities. Not such quantity, yet must as numerical value and direction. Why? I will give an example. For example, look at the wire. For example, it's a wire. And yet wire must be electron paka. Means cut. Now, electron has magnitude. It has magnitude. We know that it has magnitude. So, it has magnitude. Clear? Now, अगर मैं उसे ये point is tanchi current flow current and acha proper direction. Clear? Acha proper direction. What is direction? Direction chi direction. So, this is electron direction. Now, अगर इस use consider करो numerical value and direction. Then क्या बनेगा? Vector quantity. मगर this is scalar quantity. Why? Because there is no purpose of writing vector laws in terms of electricity. So, yet purpose is vector laws. Because current to obey current scalar law or algebraic law. So description that must numerical value to direction as so he can clearly describe the quantity vector quantity. No. Cos can describe so quantity as so physical quantity as vector yet was numerical value as direction as and big so obey vector laws. This are quantities and shown vector quantities. So you get them quantities completely described by means of numerical value with certain units specified, direction and obeys vector laws. This is quantities. Vector quantities. Now we have done this. Scalar numerical value alone described, unit specified, and algebraic law will follow to call scalar. Now, what is current scalar vector? This is scalar. Why? Because it does not follow vector law. Second is certain physical quantities which obey or which can be described by numerical values, direction and obeys vector laws. Then we can simply vector quantities. Now you can assign three important vector quantities because you cannot describe the laws of physics until you know the vector quantity. Why vector quantity? Because I must study motion of particles in space. Now motion of particle in 2D. Here is motion of particle in 2D and space will describe that requires one thing. First, the numerical value we know. Second, a particular or proper direction. Third, agar body comprise with two or more vectors or two or more certain things, certain physical quantities you need as vector, then we should know this vector law as well. And you see vectors, you should compact in physics. Agar you get as vector laws, vectors, physics as physics conclude within this vector quantities. And the vectors help us physics as compact compact. So we know now this, what is vector and what is scalar. There are certain more quantities which are known as tensor, which we will not discuss here. So we should discuss later on, next session month, next class month, later on. But in case we will simply discuss, that is this vector quantity in detail. Now, vector quantity cost quantity gate, sub quantity, that was numerical value direction vector law obey. Now, after is going to specify why is that direction important. Now, why is direction important in vectors? Why is direction important in vectors? Now, very much beautiful example. For example, let us take this example. It's a building, and it's a 100-story building. Add the staff number. Add the staff number. Now, ये तो staff number so she observe करा ये मुझे क्या शेयर करना Clear? For example, using ये नफर you go born. You go born. If you born go you go in this pattern and you move with this. Makhluk है जिंदगी. But use ये नफर ची ये क्या conclude? That is important. ये भी conclude कर उसे क्या conclude कर? उसे चीज़ है conclude कर. यह conclude करे कि इस नफर ये suicide कर रहा है लेकिन कि एमस गेम दाकर. अगर एमस सीधी दाकर, for example अगर एमस सीधी दाकर इसे एमस दाकर दिवाई होगा. ठीक? So अगर एमस सीधी दाकर means that एमस दाकर direction ची होगा. James' direction is yoga, and he can exert instead of force. And we know force, the magnitude of force, physical dimensions, that is the Newton, and it is Newton. Let us say it has 10 Newton force. So, अगर ये James that you do, you go. Born, ये क्या statement? Yeah, James do first because James that you go. Born. पर व्याप चीज़ नहीं कर. या अगर suicide पाने ऐसा एमस है कि ये नफर नाम योगन दैट तुम का सुसाइड के एमस का ये फोर्स को वापस योगन वापस एंड ये फोर्स हैज बेड द हाई न्यूटन ठीक नाउ ये है कि फोर्स एमस योगन के प्रेडिक्शन तो लेके एमस दा एमस को ना बल्कि सी पाने का सुसाइड मगर ये बचायो ये हेकुन बचे तीन बिकॉज़ ये सुन फोर्स है ग्रेट नाउ ये क्या कंक्लूड ये करे कंक्लूड ये कर सुसाइड कि जिमोर ये क्या कंक्लूड depending upon this direction. अगर ये एमस पता आसी कि ये भी एमस दाकी योगुन कि ये भी एमस दाकी योगुन ये कंक्लूड करे and this is the importance of direction in vectors. So अगर ये direction is निमो की ये direction vector law of physics is completely different. अगर इस ये direction निमो vector law of physics is completely different. ये law is what I am बच्चों ये law is what I am move. So this is different story. That's why direction is very much important. Now, one more example. For example, you should have plane and you have to have block and that blocks mass m. Now, अगर का शक्ल से पर दाती दी ओपन फोर्स f कर अप्लाई ओपन या ब्लॉक से के सिंपली ये ब्लॉक पाई ठीक ये का कर पाई कि ये पाई ओपन ब्लॉक ठीक नाउ अगर फोर्सेस या डायरेक्शन में जो ये पो नाउ सिचुएशन इज डिफरेंट अगर सेम अमाउंट ऑफ फोर्स या पर करो या ब्लॉक से ये पाई क्या never you guys always sit in caster yes foundation se or yes table se or yes floor se so ye force magnitude is same all but just the direction se that is important ye direction se broad pakna but ye direction se stick karna this is the importance of direction in vectors. So vector quantity is given simply. So vector quantity is vector quantity is physical quantity. Yet must kya asid? Yet must magnitude asid. Be asid direction. This is very much important. Why? We know this from this example direction. And third is use obey kya? Vector laws. Vector laws. So this is very much important. Simply magnitude we know. So magnitude. Second thing direction. Direction is very much important. Third is vector laws. Now, can we sort out some examples? Yes. What are the examples? For example, examples are displacement. Second example is velocity. Third example is acceleration. Fourth example is force. There are certain more examples which we will see later on. So these are the examples. And now the question is, how can we represent a vector? So let us move to the topic representation of a vector. Representation of a vector. Representation of a vector. Now representation of a vector. Now vector किस पर से represent करना? Now actually पता कि इस vector क्या है? So physical quantity या कम आसन लेकिन हम तो चीज आसन magnitude direction ते बेकर obey vector law. Now vector किस पर represent? Simple. What is a line? Simple. Joining two points by a straight. This is called a simple line. Now representation of what is representation of vector? Representation of vector is nothing. It is a straight line or line segment with an arrow. Simple. It's a line segment. Remember this point. It's a line segment. But not only line segment with arrowhead. For example, let us consider P point consider then and Q point consider. Here P to Q power join is by a straight line. It is simply a line segment. This is line segment. P and Q is line segment. But representation of vector kya? It is a line segment with arrowhead. So what is arrowhead? It is this arrow. So अगर इस प्लेस को इतना सर or we can say representation of a vector. Why? Because representation of vector is a line segment with an arrowhead. So this is line segment, this is simple line segment, and here arrowhead. So this is line segment, we can write here, this is line segment, and you can see arrowhead. Arrowhead. Now, importance of point which capture. Representation. This point is the starting point, and this point is the terminating point. You see starting point, simply tail. Tail. And you see point head or tip. Simple. You see point P tail point or starting point. And you see final point head or tip. Now we shall catch up. A representation of vector is simple line segment with an arrowhead. Line segment is simply a line, straight line joining 2 points P and Q. Simple. Now second thing is with an arrowhead, and simply this cap is simply arrowhead. So the line segment with arrowhead should comprise a representation of a vector. Clear? Very much simple. Now, simply we show yes starting point is after simply tail. You see final point is head or tip. So it is a vector as much as the cheese. After a line segment with arrowhead. Which is a starting point as much as tail. Which is a terminating point as much as head or tip. Clear? Now. You see line segment jasan, the line segment to represent karan, it represents magnitude of vector. You see line segment jasan, is a line segment z to the magnitude za. Is a line segment like to the magnitude small. So yes, line segment is simply what it represents is magnitude of vector. Now second thing is arrowhead. ये arrowhead क्या कर रहा है represent? ये arrowhead जो represent कर रहा है direction. क्या कर रहा है represent? Direction. So the cheese. Vector representation क्या? A line segment with arrowhead. Line segment क्या represent कर रहा है? Magnitude of vector. And arrowhead क्या represent कर रहा है? Direction of vector. काफी direction must because direction is very much necessary. I'm going to use example of forcing. Direction is very much necessary in vectors. अगर the direction specify करें कि ना, it's helpful vector describe करें. So this is important. Line segment just to represent करा magnitude. This arrowhead just to represent करा direction. So this is the representation of a vector. Now simple, I will repeat कर थोड़ा सा representation क्या है? Vector is simply it is represented by a line segment with an arrowhead. And line segment क्या represent करा? Magnitude. Arrowhead क्या represent करा? Direction. Initial point इसका होना tail. Final point इसका होना head or tip. Now this is the representation of a vector. Now I'm watching notation of a vector. क्या है? Notation of a vector. Let's start notation of a vector. So representation आया समझ? Also notation of a vector क्या? Notation of a vector. Notation of a vector. Now representation we know क्या है representation simply this is the representation. This is some initial point P called a tail. This is Q final point called a head. ठीक? Now this is line segment C के represent करा magnitude. ये arrow head के represent करा direction. Now notation क्या है? Notation is simple. ठीक? Physics and bound की नहीं. तो हे क्यों represent क्या letter है? Like for example A to Z या क्या Roman या बंद की चीज़ तो आज पर language soil language से specify करें क्या कहते notation of a vector. Once you get international recommendations, you should follow करने to represent the vector. Now simple question, you should represent your करना or note your करना by letters. By letters. Simple. कोई hard and fast rules नहीं हैं. ये है small कैसे? ये है कैसे capital. ठीक? Small तो capital. Now अगर small letters हैं small letters थे, अगर capital letters हैं capital letters. So yes, notation chart में vectors which is represented by letters either small or capital. You know that? No, which is important. What letters in संचासन तीन चासन over arrowhead. Over arrowhead. So for example, बजर बनते इसी vector P and Q. Yes, line segment P Q represents simply magnitude and this arrowhead represents direction. Now, was actually note karna si vector. Iski par karum tha so par karum. Let us use P and Q. You can represent it like this: P Q, but khali P Q na P Q's here can arrow. So this is the notation of the vector. Notation of the vector. You can write it. For example, F vector. What is F vector? F is some physical quantity. Let us say F is force. So this is force vector. Force vector. Let us say this small v vector. What is v? Is a physical quantity. Let us call this physical quantity as velocity. So you vector bano, you velocity vector. You velocity vector. Now, one more. Let us say small letter a. What is a? Is a physical quantity. Let us consider this physical quantity as an acceleration. Tell us vector bano ye? You acceleration vector. You acceleration vector. So notation is simple. It is simply count the letter with an O arrowhead. Simply a letter either capital or small. Head. This is the notation of the vector. This is the notation of a vector. So the cheese is very much important. Of a vector, what is vector? Just magnitude as, direction as, they use omega vector laws. Because representation kya? First one represent of a line segment. Yes, most line should represent magnitude, and the arrowhead kya represent? It should represent direction. Now, and what notation? The first one note karna vector of a letter simply capital or small. मगर क्या करी तो दिया ना ताकि के क्वेश्चन of arrowhead. ठीक, this is an arrowhead. For example, F it is force vector, V it is velocity vector, A it is acceleration vector. ठीक, other vectors that can possibly exist. तो ये तुम example में उसको में vectors क्या है? ठीक. Now you go conclude as vector. You go conclude as vector image representation and notation. Now we will start the types of vectors. We will start now types of vectors. And I am a lover.